Hello, Charlottesville, Virginia. Thank you. Thank you very much. And I'm Jerome Ringo. As said, I'm the founder and chairman of Zoetic Energy. I flew in last night from West Africa, a long trip, but excited to be here. I'm from Louisiana, and Louisiana is known for many things. We're known for Mardi Gras and great food and all kinds of wonderful things. But I'm also an evacuee of Hurricane Katrina. I'm an evacuee of Hurricane Rita. I'm an evacuee of Hurricane Gustav and Hurricane Ike. And I also was in Florida traveling the state talking to people about the impacts of sea level rise, and I got caught in Hurricane Wilma. So the organizers asked me immediately after my speech to get out of town so there's no hurricane that hits Charlottesville, Virginia. I'm really excited to be here tonight because my years of advocacy and work with the National Wildlife Federation as its chair, working with Al Gore, I appeared in the documentary An Inconvenient Truth, working with many, many people like yourselves to limit the impacts or reduce the impacts of climate change. I was part of the U.S. delegation in Kyoto. I was part of the U.S. delegation in Copenhagen, in Montreal, in Frankfurt. And I have for many, many years sought to help speak out loudly about the environmental impacts, especially on those people that have been disproportionately impacted, poor people and people of color. But I also got involved with the Apollo Alliance. As was mentioned, we built a coalition on clean energy that was a 19 million member organization to promote the research and development of alternative energy. We wanted to reduce America's dependency on fossil fuel because we recognized for a long time we were being held over the energy barrel by foreign governments. And now I have decided that I want to turn that advocacy into action. And I think it's incumbent upon all of us. We are at a time when 1.2 billion people in the world do not have access to electricity. 850 million people this very minute cannot get a clean glass of water. That is a reason to turn advocacy into action, which is why we formed Zoetic. Zoetic is a hydrokinetic company. We searched around the world and we looked for how we could contribute to help diversify countries' energy portfolios. Surely there was fossil fuel. Yes, there were many different kinds of renewable energies being considered, and they all play a role. We recognize the importance of solar, the importance of wind, the importance of the many opportunities in the renewable space. My space is a hydrokinetic space. I stood on the banks of rivers in Kenya and in Ghana and at dams in those countries. And as the water flowed through the dams and continued on downriver, I saw energy floating away. We decided at Zoetic, why not take a hydro unit, drop in the water at the dams, downstream, a place that we could capture the electricity from the flowing water downstream from the dams and tie directly into the grid at the dams. Therefore, we do not impact existing infrastructure. We take full advantage of that. We don't displace people. We need not build more power lines. If they're there, we tie directly into it. We build our substations along the bank, go into our substation, boost into the country's substation, and we're into the grid. Done a lot less expensive, done a whole lot quicker with zero impact to the atmosphere. We're excited about that opportunity. We took that opportunity to many countries around the world. We started in Africa. We now have a power purchase agreement in Africa that are going to change the lives of hundreds of thousands of people in Ghana in particular. But we also have agreements in about 10 other countries in Africa. I've had the good fortune to meet with about 12 heads of state, and now they're lining up saying we want this base load power in our countries, and we are here to do so. But we went beyond Africa. We now have agreements in Honduras, El Salvador. We're signing agreements in Indonesia, in India, in Eastern Europe. We are moving around the world at Zoetic to meet energy demand right now. This is the way that we are turning the many years of advocacy, the many marches and speeches that I've done around the world, standing with Bobby Kennedy on the steps of the Capitol many years ago, speaking against the drilling of the Arctic National Wildlife Refuge, testifying in Congress on the Keystone Pipeline and the dangers associated with such, the many years following the U.S. delegation on climate legislation. And now we are faced with a challenge because we have leadership who wants to take us in a different direction on climate. Even though we make up 5% of the world's population, we are second only to China in the discharge of CO2s to the atmosphere, and we are second only to China with the consumption of electricity in the world. Then why are we not or do not want to remain at the table, at the forefront of trying to resolve issues ourselves? I look back at what Bobby Kennedy said as he utilized the death of his brother John. He said that John Kennedy, he saw wrong and tried to right it. He saw suffering and tried to heal it. He saw war and tried to stop it. It is incumbent on each and every one of us, as we see the challenges of the world, those people who desire hope, where there's hopelessness, those people who thinks that life is invisible, then we can help to make it visible. We have a responsibility to step up to the plate. Our voices have been heard, and our voices hopefully will continue to be heard. But why not we step up to the plate with new innovative ideas that can help meet the demand for clean water, for clean energy, and help resolve some of the impacts that people are suffering throughout the world. We offer base load power, 24/7 electricity. This is electricity that as long as a river is flowing, we're generating electricity. We consider the seasonality because we know that Africa is going through a 3-year drought. People oftentimes said, why did you start in Africa first? There's a need here in America. There's a need in many countries in the world. But when I look at the disproportionate impact of the poorest, those countries that contribute less CO2 to the atmosphere but suffer the greatest impact, it was a no-brainer for me. Go to the countries that need it the most and reach them first. That does not mean we do not have interest in promoting these technologies in America, because with the United States being second in the discharge of CO2, there's surely a need for us to get on the right track and help stop contributing to the CO2 that is impacting the lives of so many people. We have gotten the attention of African nations. I'm working very close with the African Union, representing all 54 countries the Union does, and I'm working very close with them to sit down with the prime ministers. I will be addressing in 2 weeks, I will be addressing all of the ambassadors of the African Union on Embassy Row in Washington, D.C. And in 30 days, I will be in Ethiopia addressing all 54 presidents of the African nations. They need to know that there are alternatives. They need to know that there's possibilities where there have been impossibilities. They need to know that fossil fuels are not the only options. There are ways to reduce the impacts of fossil fuel and CO2 on their lives. There are ways to provide clean water to their people. There are ways that we can produce electricity so that people can cook and children can read at night. An opportunity can be given to a people that they've never had before. It is incumbent on each and every one of us that are here tonight to be a part of the solution. Not just people who scream about it and shout about it and vote about it. Those things are important. But people who can get totally involved with our action. Innovative ideas. I love the fact that backstage I've met people who are in the solar industry, people who are in the wind industry. Those things are so very important. We must come up with innovative ways to take us into this new era of energy production. One day, each of you, myself, those that do not have children, I hope will be blessed with children, But those that have grandchildren or will be blessed with grandchildren, one day your grandchild will look into your eyes and say, "Grandfather, grandmother, you were at that Tom Tom festival in Charlottesville, Virginia, when there was a team of people who passionately talked about promoting renewable energy to help clean up the environment and make the world a better place. You were there in that audience when you were called to action with your passion and your energy. You were there, grandfather, grandmother. I want to know, grandparent, how did you leave the world to me in the shape that you have left it?" What will be your answer to your grandchildren? If you do not have an answer for them now, let the Tom Tom Festival be the beginning of your answer, the beginning of your commitment, the beginning of you coming to the realization that there are innovative ways to change the world. There are innovative means to reach out and assist people. We are working with governments and the private sector all over the world to express the need. We know the needs, but we want to express how we can contribute at Zoetic, how we can take advantage of those flowing rivers within your communities. And we can give and generate electricity that can be used to operate the pumps that get the water out of the ground. And your children and your children's children in these countries can reap those benefits. It starts here. It starts with us. I believe that everyone in this room wants better for their children. But it has to go beyond that. We've got to want better for the whole world. We've got to want better for the haves, and we've got to want better for the have-nots. For we all breathe the air, and we all drink the water. Why not we implement and support programs that are going to be to the benefit of all? I want to encourage you. I want to challenge you with ideas like Zoetic. These ideas were not born, the ideas to put units at a dam was not an idea that just sort of fell out the sky. It was an idea that is sort of a common sense idea. Many people say, "My God, why haven't people done this a long time ago?" These are the type of ideas that our team has looked at, have vetted, and have come to believe that this is the most effective way to get electricity to people quicker, cleaner, less expensive, and now, right now. I encourage all of you to join us. Join us in our effort, and when I say us, I mean everyone with new innovative ideas toward renewable energy. Recognize that from this day forward, fossil fuels are not the only game in town, and it's not the safest game in town. We have alternatives. You have been great advocates. You have been great spokespersons. Now let's put that advocacy into action. God bless all of you. God bless the state of Virginia. And most of all, God bless America. Thank you.